What if your whole Pokemon team shared their abilities with each other, all of them simultaneously? In such a world, you could create the most indestructible Magcargo of all time. A Magcargo immune to water type and ground type attacks. How do you even beat such a Pokemon? There is a fan format where such a thing is possible, and it's called Shared Power. It's a really fun idea. The way it works is that every single time you send a Pokemon onto the field, it will then share its ability with your entire team. Every single time you switch in a new Pokemon, that Pokemon shares its ability with your whole team until you eventually stack all 6 abilities on every one of your Pokemon. I really like the idea of this format because even though some insanely broken combos are possible, it takes a while to get there. You don't start with every ability on every Pokemon. You have to work your way there by switching in each Pokemon one by one, and building teams is really interesting for that reason. It's like a puzzle where you're trying to create as many broken synergies as you can in a very unique way. When you first hear about this format and how it works, you probably think that a great strategy would be to go all in on one Pokemon with every broken ability ever, but really what you want to do is run multiple Pokemon that can benefit from each other's abilities. There's a lot of nuance going on in this format because you can have multiple different win conditions that are really powerful in different ways. And the viability rankings for this format are really interesting. They are not what you would expect. This format allows certain legendaries that are usually banned in competitive singles, but those are not really the Pokemon that rise to the top. One of the top A+ ranked Pokemon in the metagame is actually Crawdaunt. Crawdaunt is elite level status here, because Crawdaunt not only provides your team with an outstanding offensive ability, adaptability, which increases the stab bonus on attacks from 1.5x to 2x, but also it benefits greatly from other offensive abilities. It is a formidable physical attacker with great stab types and plethora of stab options, including Aqua Jet for priority. And this team by the player Bobzican is a perfect example of how Crawdaunt can be used to incredible effect in this format. Crawdaunt not only provides adaptability to Pokemon that absolutely adore dealing stab damage, it can also benefit from the team's many other powerful offensive abilities. First of all, the team is running Lycanroc, an uncommon Pokemon elsewhere, but in this format it's very good. It provides your whole team with the ability Tough Claws, which is just a blanket boost to contact moves. Very, very good ability to give to your whole team. Just a straightforward damage bonus to most physical moves in the game. Lycanroc is also nice because it is a Stealth Rock setter. It has Taunt to get ahead of enemy hazard setting leads. Endeavor and Accelerock is also a great combo to perhaps eliminate something early on. So Lycanroc is a pretty fantastic lead in this metagame, doing a lot for you on the first turn. Crawdaunt, of course, provides everybody on the team with adaptability, and take a look at these teammates. Lowkicks, who has Tinted Lens and so many bug and dark type stab moves. I mean, Lowkicks in OU is already quite a good Pokemon. With an adaptability boost, this is perfect synergy. And guess what? It's cross synergy because Crawdaunt also benefits from Tinted Lens. Tinted Lens is an ability that grants double damage to not very effective attacks. Tinted Lens and adaptability work so well together as a synergy in this format because both of them are moves that encourage spamming stab. Lowkicks on its own is just using stab moves in its moveset because it's not worried about resistances. Crawdaunt gets a damage boost on stab moves. The synergy makes itself. What else have we got on the team? Porygon Z, another Pokemon that is excellent in this format because of its ability Download. Download is a great offensive ability. On switch in, you get an attack or special attack raise by 1 stage based on the foe's weaker defensive stat. So if they have less defense, you get an attack boost. Less special defense, you get a special attack boost. This is brilliant because it can benefit both physical and special attackers. Porygon Z, by the way, also has adaptability. That's another reason it's good in this format. It can also provide adaptability to your whole team, but of course, Download is preferable on this team since Crawdaunt is already doing that for us. Glimmora is on here as a nice combination of utility and hazard setting as well as actually being pretty offensively threatening. I mean, with adaptability and Download and Tinted Lens, it can do stuff. It's not benefiting from Tough Claws, but it's still a very good pick here. Even though providing toxic debris to the team is not the most impactful thing on the planet, it's still something, and Glimmora does fit with the overall pace. I think the brilliant thing about this team is the final slot, the Comfey. Did you know that Draining Kiss is actually a contact move? Even though it's a special attack, makes contact with the enemy. It makes sense, it's a kiss that requires contact. So this is getting benefited from Tough Claws, and adaptability, and Download, and Tinted Lens. And Comfey has the ability Triage, granting priority to healing moves. Draining Kiss is a healing move. So in the end game, You got all the abilities. Comfy is the perfect thing to switch in. You just spam Draining Kiss. You're doing double damage to resists. You are priority. You're healing up all your HP. You have a special attack boost, stab boost, contact boost, everything. And Terra Fairy for even more damage. And now you see what I mean. All of these Pokemon are working together to get the most out of all of their abilities all at once. And it's interesting. I mean, Lycanroc clearly exists as the team's lead just to give tough claws to everything else. It's okay on its own merits, but it's not really there to benefit from all the abilities. However, you have Crawdaunt, Lokix, Comfey, and Porygon Z all benefit from each other's abilities very well. Even though Comfey's Triage cannot be abused by anything else, all of the rest of the team's abilities turn Comfey into an incredible late-game cleaner. This team is a great example of how you can create just broken offense in a very unique way that is a lot of fun. Team building in this format has so many possibilities. So based on that team, the structure of it, and how it all works together, you can probably understand these viability rankings a little bit better. All of these top tier Pokemon are Pokemon that can not only provide the team with a valuable ability, but benefit from other abilities very much. Ting-Lu is an incredible example. Vessel of Ruin is a very high value ability, and Ting-Lu is this bulky blob of stats that probably benefits greatly from various powerful defensive abilities. The same is true of Zamazenta and Giratina Origin. You might be wondering why Houndstone is here. That probably looks kind of random. It's actually not because of what you might expect. Last Respects is banned here too. You can't use Last Respects. It's actually because Houndstone is the only Pokemon in the game that gets Fluffy, the ability Fluffy, which is an amazing ability. You take half damage from all contact moves. Even though there's the drawback of taking double damage from fire moves, that can actually be patched up by a Flash Fire Pokemon. And also, you just saw with the previous team that whole strategy centered around contact moves, so Fluffy would kind of shut that down completely, wouldn't it? That whole game plan of the previous team was built around using contact moves, wasn't it? So granting Fluffy to powerful defensive Pokemon like Ting-Lu or Zamazenta is incredibly valuable. This team is an incredibly creative way to take advantage of cross-ability sharing and its consequences. This is by the player Gimlif, and this is all about berries. Berries are the center of this strategy, which is very interesting, isn't it? I mean, right off the bat, you're going to notice that there's 3 Pokemon here that very rarely get used, and are being used on this team for very unique reasons. Trevenant, Tauros, Paldea, and Maushold. Even though Maushold is used sometimes, the reason Maushold is being used on this team is for its ability Cheek Pouch, which grants a healing effect. 1/3 of your max HP gets healed if you consume a berry. And you're going to notice a pattern here with the berries. Trevenant provides the team with Harvest, which is a great ability. Harvest grants you a 50% chance at the end of each turn to restore a berry that you just used. You can increase that to 100% in Sun, but this team is not doing so. They're just relying on the 50% chance to recover your berry. This works very well with Cheek Pouch, obviously, because you recover the berry, consume it, heal even more than you usually would. Tauros Paldea Blaze also has a berry-centric ability in the form of Cudchew. If this Pokemon eats a berry, it will eat that berry again at the end of the turn. So it's an absolute berry bonanza, isn't it? You're consuming 2 berries per turn, recovering the berries consistently, and every single time you consume a berry, you're healing for a significant 1/3 of your max HP. I think we're building a big berry monster, aren't we? Ting-Lu simply provides Vessel of Ruin to the team, which is a fantastic bulky ability, but you'll notice that it has a Citrus Berry on, and it can very easily become an absolute monster of infinite healing with the help of Harvest and Cheek Pouch and Cudchew. Ursaluna Blood Moon is present here, providing the team with the ability Mind's Eye, which works similarly to Scrappy. Normal and fighting type attacks are able to hit ghost types, and this is extremely important. Now, Ursaluna Blood Moon has a Pitaya Berry, so it can actually achieve an absurd amount of special attack if it has all these abilities stacked up onto it. And it can be the team's win condition with Blood Moon and Vacuum Wave. And hey, guess what? It turns out that many of these Pokemon here are utilizing fighting and normal type attacks. Body Press is perfect. Ting-Lu has a massive defense stat, and this is able to hit ghost types thanks to Ursaluna. Tauros Paldea has close combat, and a Salackberry with the Endure combo. Thanks to Cudchew, you are getting 2 Salackberry boosts. Thanks to Cheek Pouch, you're healing after you're bringing back down to 1 and consuming the berries. And thanks to Mind's Eye, you can sweep with close combat. This could be a win con itself. But the real finisher for the team, most of the time, would be this Zamazenta, who has presumably all of these abilities at the end of the game, and it has equipped the Ganlon berry, which is a berry that grants a defense boost. I think that we know where this is going, don't we? Because Body Press is a fighting type attack that deals damage based on your defense stat. You are consuming Ganlon berry multiple times, recycling it, bringing it back, getting max defense very easily. Ghost types are completely unable to stop you. Trailblaze is even here to provide you with a speed boost if you're interested. And Substitute not only helps you against enemy status moves, it also allows you to get into the Ganlon berry range to consume 1,000,000 berries, and Cheek Pouch is providing you with healing too, passively, just from all the berry consumption that you're doing. This team is absolutely brilliant, the way that there is a clear finisher in the form of the Zamazenta, but multiple Pokemon here can be a win condition. The Tauros and the Ting-Lu and the Ursaluna all have game-ending properties on them. The Maushold is providing more of a utility role with Super Fang and Tidy Up, which actually removes hazards from the field. You can weaken enemies with this, Taunt for a bit of disruption. Maushold is mostly there to just give the team Cheek Pouch, but it can do a bit of utility stuff too. Tidy Up is fantastic roll compression on this. And I just think this is a wonderfully creative way to take advantage of cross-ability gaming. And I'm sure your imagination is running wild, and you're thinking to yourself, well, if all of these incredible offensive synergies are possible, what about defensive synergies? And boy, are there some possibilities. This is a stall team, also built by the player Bobzican, and this takes advantage of the Fluffy plus Flash Fire combo I just mentioned. Houndstone provides the team with this incredible defensive ability, granting half damage from contact moves to all of these incredible bulky behemoths, and Heatran, of course, provides a complete immunity to fire-type moves, nullifying Fluffy's only drawback, also providing valuable fire immunity, especially to Wo-Chien, who is weak to fire. Heatran is also benefiting from Giratina as a teammate, providing Levitate. This is a Heatran that is immune to ground, potentially. What a concept. Clodsire is providing the entire team with Unaware, which is ridiculous. Offensive boost, even defensive boosts will be completely ignored in damage calculation. So that team we just saw with the 1,000,000 things consuming berries and getting defensive boosts, all of those defensive boosts are in vain against this team because Unaware is on every single Pokemon. What a concept. Tablets of Ruin is of course an unbelievable ability to provide to a whole team, simply decreasing the attack stat of the enemy. Basically a physical bulk boost to everything on top of Fluffy, which is already halving damage from the majority of physical moves in the game. And then Chansey is probably the main benefactor of all of this nonsense, isn't it? With an Eviolite equipped to be even bulkier than you could ever imagine. Chansey is terrible on the physical defense side, but now it has Fluffy and Tablets of Ruin to enhance its physical bulk. It has Unaware to ignore physical boosts. It's also immune to Earthquake and any fire move, a big Flare Blitz from a Choice Band Cinderace or whatever strongest fire move you can imagine is just going to whiff against Chansey. It also provides the team with Natural Cure, which is actually quite nice, allowing a form of status curing to everything. But Chansey is definitely the one that you want as just an invincible machine in the end game. So yes, Stall can be very powerful. I will say it does take a while to ramp up Stall in this format, because you got to switch all these guys in to gather all these abilities and create Exodia. And of course, while you're doing that, the enemy can just hit you and defeat you. So you got to be very careful, like which abilities do you grant to everything first. There's an order of operations going on, which is important to consider. It's kind of a unique form of stall that is perhaps a little bit interesting to play from both ends. As the aggressor, you want to apply as much immediate pressure as you can so that they are not able to create the most powerful defensive being ever imagined. And as the stall gamer, you're trying to weather the storm until you can achieve godhood. Let's take a look at a high-level game of shared power and the really interesting gameplay that can come from this unique format. Unfortunately, there's not much tournament gameplay to look at here. Shared Power is regrettably not a part of the OMPL, the other metagames Premier League, which features such formats as Stabmons, which I talked about in another video, and almost any ability and Hackmons and all these fancy metagames, but not Shared Power. Shared Power is a little bit less popular. But this was a high ladder game between the players Ice Steel Team's L, who is currently the #1 ranked player on the leaderboard, and the Educated Fool, who is the former #1 ranked player. So let's take a look at this one. We've got an interesting squad from both gamers. This is clearly a Sun team with Groudon to provide drought to the whole team, and Sun as well to activate all these abilities. The whole team's going to have Photosynthesis, Download perhaps, or is it Adaptability from the Porygon? Probably Adaptability. Lilligant grants Chlorophyll. Galvantula is interesting as well. Maybe a Sticky Web setter. And Galvantula has Unnerve, which is incredibly good against the Berry matchup. This is clearly a Berry team with Harvest, Cheek Pouch, and Gluttony from Muck. All about the berry consumption. Here comes Groudon to create Sun on the field. Ting-Lu has hit the scene, a good defensive switch in that also gets one of the most important abilities out there, the Vessel of Ruin. Charizard is here with adaptability from Porygon Z is now on the whole team, and Solar Power is on the whole team. So this is about to be the most powerful Charizard in existence. This one-shotting Maushold more easily than I've ever seen. That was about 1 million damage. In comes Trevenant to certain death. Just wants to provide the team with Harvest. That's all that was for. The Trevenant itself was not long for this world. And in comes Muk to provide the team with Gluttony, which allows it to consume berries sooner. Annihilape has come in, and Annihilape is unable to consume any berry because Unnerve is in effect, but upon KOing the enemy, Unnerve has been disabled, and now the berries can be consumed because there's no Unnerve Pokemon blocking. Isn't that an interesting interaction? Have you ever seen that before? I have not. That's insanity. The interactions you see in this format. We have a Harvest has granted another Select Berry to Annihilate, but of course, while a Pokemon is alive on the enemy field, it cannot consume that Select Berry, and it is paralyzed as well. Porygon Z cannot use Tri-Attack, the main stab move, to deal damage to Annihilape, and that was not enough damage. Will we see Annihilape Terrastalize here to dodge a Moonblast? We did indeed, but Flutter Mane protects in advance to scout for such a reality. Rage Fist makes quick work of that, and because the Flutter Mane is KO'd, the Select Berry gets consumed and provides a crucial Cheek Pouch boost. This synergy is unbelievable. Solar Blade is finally going to get rid of this monkey. Is the Educated Fool able to finish this one off? Ursaluna survives a close combat and strikes back with a big Blood Moon. And look at that, even Unnerved isn't even that good against this berry strategy, because as soon as you get a KO, the berry gets consumed and you heal off of it. And that defense boost from the Gandlon berry is going to be the saving grace of Ursaluna. Cannot use Blood Moon twice in a row, but it can, of course, heal in the interim period, and a simple Blood Moon will finish off the game. And upon KOing, insult to injury, it consumes the berry at only less than half health because of Gluttony. It heals because of Cheek Pouch. It gets it back because of Harvest. This berry strategy is unbelievable. It's making quick work of an Unnerved team. A team with a specific ability to counter berries. I think this says a lot about our society, doesn't it? The way that game played out was so interesting. I mean, POV Gamer looked like they were in the lead the whole time, but look at the ways you can squeeze back from a disadvantage in this format. It's so interesting, and there's so many ways to create fun synergies. I think it's a fantastic format that is a complete warping of what Pokemon even is. The viability rankings look totally different to any other format I have ever seen. I joke oftentimes about how Landorus, Therian, and Toxapex always end up the best in other metagames. It's not the case here. It's a whole different set of broken Pokemon. We're seeing Trevenant and Maushold and Hisui and Lilligant. You can get a lot out of random Pokemon you would never think of in this format. There is a clear meta, but there's also so much possibility for creative team building and unexplored potential in such a concept. Even though Shared Power is one of the less popular other meta games, it is playable on Showdown with a ladder, at least, and that's really cool. So if you want to give this format a go, let your imagination run wild to build a Shared Power team. This is a format where you can create the most powerful Magcargo anyone has ever seen. You can create a Magcargo with the ability Ball Fetch, okay folks? Please understand this. You can create Ball Fetch and give it to any Pokemon in your wildest dreams. And on that note, thank you all for watching.